I believe that performance is what rules movies.
Wrong, please.
Having said that, I wanted the film to look as good as we could make it.
Action!
One thing I would decide very early on, we all of us did, that if we're going to do the tennis, it had to be really special.
Okay, cut it.
And like a Nike ad, I mean, I kind of remember being interviewed by the studio and explained how I would approach the film.
And back and hit.
And I said, well, I would use a lot of commercial techniques in the film, so it's exciting.
Action!
That's good. That's good. That's very good. Okay. How do you make 2-3 actors who've never really played tennis in their lives look like they are professional tennis players? The important thing was to make them look like they could play tennis, not play tennis, because there is a difference.
40-15.
Yes!
The actors all had substantial training from Pat Cash, who was the film's tennis consultant. They developed a nice style, but just for the practicalities of making a film, trying to get the actors to do multiple takes after takes just because they want the ball to go to a very specific point to make that shot look very dramatic was too much to ask.
You could have, Roger Federer versus Andy Roddick. They couldn't choreograph the same move again and again and again.
They don't have that much ball control, even the pros. That wasn't the brief. The brief was to act like you were a good tennis player.
It was quite quickly established that we would need to put in a CG tennis ball to free up the actors to be able to perform.
They always served with a real ball, but after that point we took over in CGI.
In many cases, we would actually get them to perform the rallies without the ball, and we would be doing the visual effects work by putting the ball in afterwards.
Which meant that the players had to time it right. We would do 30 takes to get one that worked. Time Slice is a series of stills cameras that are fired automatically from a computer.
3, 2, 1, action!
What happens is that you suspend time, but it's freezing it from a different vantage point, so you can see it in a different angle. So you can take those stills and you basically put back a camera that can move round a frozen image.
Stylistically, it was different from what we would normally assume as time slice, in that it was reminiscent of a long exposure photograph that you'd get from a stills camera.
You can delay it so that the image is moving slightly. And that's what we did with Paul. We had a shot where Paul dives for the final point. He's throwing himself like that to get a ball that's coming here, and our camera starts there and goes right the way around like that, but it moves faster than he can throw himself through space.
Action!
And the moment he leaps off the ground, he's in the air, we're following him through the air, so he's diving, the cameras are basically triggering off as he progresses through the air. Once we have those 60 stills, those are then digitally joined together to make a moving shot.
Very boring and time-consuming, I have to tell you. I mean, it takes you all morning to do one shot.
Action! Action! Action!
He did hurt himself a few times, but you couldn't use a double, really. And you couldn't put him on a mattress because you'd have seen it. But, he's an actor and that's what they do for a living.
30-15.
We use a bit of what we call a motion control camera. And you could repeat the camera move identically, so the camera will always do the same thing, exactly the same move. It's controlled by a computer.
There's a montage sequence in the final match of the film which kind of encompasses an entire set, which actually looks like one camera move, which is one motion control move, but I think we shot 36 passes of different action, which in post-production we could seamlessly stitch together, so it looks like it's just a passage of time.
15-30.
This is ugly.
The human brain has this amazing capacity to see false information. So if you see a ball that's bouncing incorrectly, you immediately go, that's not real. In a horror movie, you've got a monster. No one knows what a monster hopefully looks like, but everyone's seen a tennis ball bounce on a bit of grass.
If people are saying that, what visual effects in Wimbledon, what are you talking about? That's great, it's the best compliment that we can have.
Richard and his team really had their work cut out to make those balls look real.